starting off with, hello. You guys ask for input or feedback, and instead of arguing with the grammar nerds in the comment section, I figured it would be better to just write a thank you email. Oh, thank you. I listened to your advice and I read some articles by Krashen and Steve Kaufman. I think you guys are spot on, and I'm insanely happy at the progress I have made in less than 2 months of deciding to learn Mandarin. It's on level 25 right now. I was going to look up exactly how many characters that is, but I don't know off the top of my head. But that's definitely a nice sort of few hundred characters and obviously a few hundred words. And I imagine she's been reading sentences quite comfortably at this point. So you're in phase 4. So you're starting to, by phase 4, you're starting to read full-length stories, and that going from scratch after 2 months, that's very impressive. She says, I finished one of those Mandarin Companion books this weekend, and the intro says it usually takes people a year, an exclamation mark in brackets. Yeah, to get to the point of being able to read it. They have different levels, and of course a year is just average, but if you learn in the traditional way. I didn't know a single word of Chinese before December. And all of this started because I wanted to pronounce wuxia correctly. I'll be slowing down a bit since I got my COVID vaccines and can finally go back to weightlifting at the gym next week. I actually sent this paragraph, the bit about Mandarin Companion, to Jared Turner, who works with John Paston. They are the creators of Mandarin Companion. I actually did a podcast a couple of weeks back, and it's just been released. So go ahead and go to the You Can Learn Chinese podcast and skip to, I think it's episode 55 or 155. I really should do more homework before recording these podcasts, shouldn't I? But anyway, something 55. And I'm 37 minutes in. That's when I start. And it was really fun. And thanks to both of those guys for letting me on there. Phil also did an interview, I think about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now. And we're huge supporters of Mandarin Companion. In fact, we were supposed to do this a while back, but we've had such a backlog of things that we wanted to add to the course and developments to make, corrections, things like this. We haven't quite got around to it, but we are in the process of adding Mandarin Companion or excerpts of Mandarin Companion books to our own content. So I think we license like 10% overall of each book. Just like a nice sort of snippet to put in there. And it's really nice to hear that after only 2 months, starting from zero, she can read one of the Mandarin Companion books. And they're great books. So I highly recommend those people. And go and check out the podcast as well. She says, I did make a change that I think helped manage my levels of frustration and greatly increased my ability to pick up spoken words. I copied the audio from the sentences to the front of the card and tried to read along silently with the speaker, mashing R, which is repeat the audio in Anki, over and over again. I had this theory that beginners don't have a decent enough inner reading voice. Since we haven't been exposed to enough spoken Mandarin, yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I noticed it was way more difficult to read by myself slowly than reading along faster with the speaker. I bring this up because I read a recent blog post email. This is our newsletter we put out every week, which was last week happened to be Christine's interview, a long-term member, and who's just absolutely smashing the course. She's worked her way well through the course now into the intermediate, I believe. It was called Pro Users Pro Tips. So check that out on YouTube, and of course our podcast from mandarinblueprint.com/podcast. By a woman that loves Chinese, that's Christine, Chinese TV, but admitted that she can't pick up any spoken words. I think she was at level 13 at the time. I'm obviously way far from fluent, but there are a surprising amount of words I hear, and I think it's because I've been doing so much listening along with the sentences. I started doing this way since I work very busy 10-hour shifts on the weekends, hospital pharmacist, absolutely no time for Anki at work, and Anki reviews are due when they are due. I had to make a choice of slowing down on the learning, new content, or speeding up my reading. That's really interesting. And that is another thing that we're in the process of doing is sort of developing the Anki decks, the flashcard decks, to make it a bit more focused around listening. Again, it's on the list, it's in progress. Should be out pretty soon. Anyway, I'm just so happy with this program. I really hope you guys make more content in the future. I started making my own cards for words not in your decks. I don't think I've ever heard 你好 used in the shows I'm watching, but 忘记, I believe that is. I'm not sure. Lian and 公子 show up all the time. Haha, yes, I imagine you watch a lot of those sort of, if they're the ones that I think that those sort of set in ancient China kind of shows about the emperor and all that sort of stuff. Those are incredibly popular and they're good, that you get really into them. But I would say they're among some of the toughest to follow, because they use rather, as you've just listed there, quite high level, sort of largely old Chinese, also quite kind of obsolete, not used in modern day Chinese. But still worth learning, of course, to understand the show better and enjoy it more. I know vocab can get specialized, i.e. historical fiction, modern business terms, internet slang, etc. But it's convenient to have the radicals or props broken down, have nice sentences to go along with the new words. Thanks, Tofu Meow. That's a great email and some very useful feedback that we only get from having such a relatively close relationship with you guys. So it's a great advantage we have over other companies trying to teach Chinese, I think, or any language. So awesome.